And to be honest, I also had a pride flag there for a few years. And when was it? I think last year I filmed it. I couldn't stand looking at it anymore. I took them. I had two. I took them and I threw them in the trash. I just woke up and I just couldn't stand looking at it anymore.
Hello and welcome to Teaching Liberty. My name is Stephanie Edmonds, and in this episode, I have a conversation with Gays Against Groomer New York chapter leader Rachel, better known as MAGAY. Gays Against Groomers is a 501c4 organization that was founded to advocate against the sexualization, indoctrination, and medicalization of children under the guise of LGBTQIA+. Wikipedia describes the group as an American far-right anti-LGBT organization known for protesting against gender-affirming care for minors, including at hospitals that provide it, against LGBT representation at schools, and against drag queen story hour events. A spokesperson for the LGBT advocacy group GLAAD has claimed the group uses the slur groomer to characterize LGBT people as pedophiles. GAG has hosted anti-LGBTQ rallies alongside other far-right and anti-LGBTQ organizations such as Moms for Liberty, which have been attended by the Proud Boys. So I'll let you decide for yourself if my guest today is a far-right extremist or a lesbian who thinks things have gone way too far. A girl who grew up gender non-conforming as a tomboy, much like myself. That's why I care so much about this issue. As I've shared previously on this channel and as I've written about, I looked like a little boy. I wanted to be a boy at times. And Rachel shares a very similar story. But before we get into it, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell if you're new here, because you don't want to miss any of my videos, because this is what we do here. We have conversations with people who Wikipedia accuses of being far-right extremists, and we let you decide for yourself. And let's keep this conversation going. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Those are linked in the description down below, along with those of my guests. And really, the most important thing you can do, and I'm going to insist on it in particular with this video because this topic is so important, share this video. And without any further ado, let's get into this conversation.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. And we're actually not too far from each other. You're just in New York City. I live over the border in Connecticut. But apparently we came up in a lot of the same, activism circles over the last few years. So it's always great to make connections. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for inviting me, and I'm glad to be able to speak directly to you, another fighter, freedom fighter, and I'm glad how the pandemic made a lot of people vocal and outspoken and want to fight and do something.
So I guess just to start things off, I mean, most people know who you are, MAGAY. You are with Gays Against Groomers, but just give us a little bit of your introduction, who you are, and what the activism is that you're doing online, and does that also go to offline?
My name is Rachel. As you said, I'm from Israel. I moved here about 10 years ago. I didn't care much about politics or speaking up about issues as much back then, but then when Trump was running, I liked what he had to say. He talked about a couple of promises that he made and kept, but the more I listened, the more I liked it, and the more the left went to the left, I went to the right, and I wanted to defend him. I saw how the media attacks him, and I wanted to defend him, and I was like on my personal professional media account where I was, trying to comment, or I tried to post things on my page, then started getting hate messages and realizing how cancel culture can affect my life right now. I decided to create a fake account. This fake account, I thought to come up with a name. I called it MAGAY, MAGAY. Just an account so I'll be able to respond to Trump and, to post things and to show people that there's an immigrant gay woman who supports Trump. and for his policies and for all that, right? And because of that, I started getting following. And the more I did it, the more I found the power of speaking up. And I enjoyed it at first, but I understood the importance of speaking about the issues that I want to see changing, or like I want to impact in a way. So that's what led me to continue and grow with this page. And then during the pandemic, I was very outspoken against the mandates, the poison shot. Instagram censored me a lot. I created many backup accounts, which I call my minions. But I was speaking about a bunch of different issues, including the specific topic that Gays Against Groomers was founded because, or to fight against. And Jamie Mitchell, the founder, who known me since I started, I guess, because she was one of the first accounts that I followed, is MAGAY. So we've been we've been like online friends, and she invited me to the coalition on day one, which was June 6th, which we just celebrated a 1-year anniversary. She invited me to join the coalition, and I, at that point, realized that we need as many people to be 100% on this issue, because it is the most devastating that I've been seeing. What's happening to these children must be stopped, and people like me must speak up against it. And
yeah, I can see how passionate you are about it. It is Pride Month. I brought my Pride glasses. I got my Pride flag up here.
I have 2 Pride flags there. I don't know if there's
I see them. Yes, yes.
The Christmas tree all year long, but also an Israeli and American flag. And to be honest, I also had a Pride flag there for a few years. And when was it? I think last year. I filmed it. I couldn't stand looking at it anymore. I took them. I had 2. I took them and I threw them in the trash. I just woke up and I just couldn't stand looking at it anymore. So now I
guess let's go into that. Why is that? Why can't you stand looking at those flags? Are you not proud to be gay anymore? Like, what is that feeling that you have going on?
So I think now, at my age of where I'm at now and having out for as long, I don't see the reason to be proud. It's just, just my sexuality, just another part of me. Even though my name here is MAGAY, just to make a statement. But, I don't see the point of marching down the streets and half naked and doing sexual behavior when we have all our rights, everything that we wanted to, and we were like the reason we were marching down the street proud. We can marry the same-sex partner if you'd like. Nobody can discriminate us at work. I don't know what else. The acceptance of the gay community reached a peak before we start realizing how the community has been hijacked in order to push that destructive agenda on the children and using us as shields, especially because I see people within the community defending all of it and playing along and gaslighting me and ostracizing me for speaking up for the children. I've been called transphobe. I've been called bigot, all the names. I actually, as a conservative gay woman, I already been excluded from gay circles in the city just for being Republican, or just they saw a photo of me at Pride Right of Low Cabin Republicans. It's a Pride event that we do, but it doesn't look like any Pride event that you know of, which usually we will see some provocative behavior. Not on that event. Anyway, they saw that photo. They realized that I'm Republican, and that was enough for people to exclude me for circles, as I said. So I already had my own disattachment from the community to that regards. Pride, New York City, or New York City Pride, the official parade had banned the NYPD a couple of years ago, and that was when I was completely done with that. In the name of with the movement of defund the police and the ACAB and all of that, Pride NYC said to the gay and lesbians of the law enforcement that they're not allowed to march with the groups. not just not
Wow.
just not protecting the parade, which was also they hired private security. For all these reasons, that's why I cannot stand that flag anymore.
Yeah, I can relate in some ways to feminism, right? I always kind of wanted to disassociate myself with feminists because I didn't feel like they were fighting for things that were legitimate.
Right.
Even though I would consider myself somebody who does believe in women's rights and protecting women, and that gets into obviously the conversation. It's interesting how those two bridge and meet. But I wanted to talk about being a tomboy.
Absolutely.
Because
I can tell quite a lot.
yeah, I was a tomboy. In many ways, I still am a tomboy.
You are a tomboy. Actually, don't take it the wrong way, but I actually thought you were gay.
I get it all the time. I get it as much from men as I get it from women, for sure.
I'm sorry, but
So
it is what it is.
you know, and I'm totally at peace with it. But I grew up being a tomboy. I was, and now it's not as defined. And I think the style today is much more eclectic than it was necessarily. I mean, the 90s were a pretty awesome time, but my sisters would be in sundresses, or they'd be in their Christmas velvet dress, and I'd be in, shorts and a t-shirt, or khakis and a polo.
Right.
It was a very stark contrast. My sisters would shop in the girls section. It's not that I wouldn't, but I would like to go to the boys section too. I felt more comfortable. Those are the clothes I liked. And if you look at my photos, sometimes you'd be like, that's a little boy,
Yeah. And if you were a kid right now, today, your teacher probably would tell you, or some other adults in your life, which probably is not your parent, or for some of them it's the parent, sorry, not. In some cases, the parents, they will tell you that it means that you want to be a boy. It means that you're trans or you're non-binary, and you must immediately get on puberty blockers, otherwise you're gonna
or have a yourself. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I worry about. I worry, and maybe it's not even a person. What I've seen a lot in these stories is that it's the internet, right? You're scrolling on the phone and you see these things and you start coming up with these ideas. Well, you think you're coming up with these ideas, but really you're kind of stating a script that you learn from being programmed by an algorithm on social media. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience growing up being a tomboy, and then I guess your story might be slightly different because you did, you are gay. And so then rather than sort of me, I came to a point where I sort of found myself and became comfortable as a straight female, which is sort of like the acceptable thing, versus going the other way. So can you just tell us a little bit about your story and how you feel like that might be not so easy, or how it would be today?
Absolutely. So tomboys are just masculine women, and doesn't mean necessarily about their sexual attraction. I believe that in every human being, we have everyone has both femininity and masculinity, just in different levels. Because even though I see myself and others recognize that I'm a masculine woman, I also have some feminine sides in me. And any masculine man has some feminine sides in him as well. So it's just a different amount, I guess. And some people, it changed through the years. For me, for myself, it changed also. I felt like there were times where I was less masculine or less butch presenting. But it's really not about sexuality. I don't see it as sexuality. But what I was able to, I was born in 1985. I'm 37. And even though my mom really wanted a girly girl, I was the first girl, and she really wanted a girl to put her dresses on and, all the things she likes to do, which is great for her. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not what I wanted. I wanted to be myself. I wanted to play with the boys. When I was pretty young, and my cousins were playing soccer outside, I wanted to join them, and they were like, no, we don't like playing with girls. Like, it's like, but you're a girl, or like they didn't take me seriously because I'm a girl, even though I was pretty good. So I remember being upset and saying, oh, I wish I was a boy. I want to be a boy because of that. When I was very, very young, but it's not that I really wanted to be a boy. And once again, I'm so grateful that I was born then, because nobody took it seriously, and they let me
just understand that it's what it is. It is a struggle to understand where you fit in with the, general kind of understanding of what gender and gender roles are. And there's merit to that, right? There's for sure merit to that. Of course, what does culture do? They take those things and they make them more extreme, right? So you have the hypersexualized female and you have the hypersexualized male. And so it can be confusing if you're not that hypersexualized thing. And I for sure can remember having that same thought. I wanted to be a boy at one point, because it seemed easier. It seemed
Yeah.
but then you come into who you are and you figure out what that means with the world around you. And so why do you think that this, or you know what, let's not go there. I want you to finish your story because you also didn't grow up in the US. So can you connect it to that? You started talking about your mom and you mentioned you grew up in Israel. So give me some more of that context.
So as I was saying, my parents just let me be me. So I was this tomboy girl that I was a little bullied at school by that, mostly from boys. Once again, they didn't want to play with a girl and all of that, but also they were making fun of my style, what I wear, my hairstyle. And I think that, kind of like roughed my skin or built my character in a way. So I don't look it back and look at the bad thing. But I grew up in a small place in Israel. And it was only when I realized that I was gay, when I was 13 years old, it's that when I first felt comfortable in my skin. About like, I knew that I'm weird. I knew that I'm different. There was no other girl that was like me. And when I realized that I was gay, I was like, oh, so that's why I'm like, so weird. I'm just gay. Not that I thought that I'm like a tomboy must be gay. Or like
right. No, it was yourself. So was that because you were introduced to the concept? You saw it somewhere?
Absolutely not. Right.
Girl, like, yeah.
So as I start saying, very small place in Israel. There was no introduction. There was no representation of gay people on TV. I was not taught about it at school. I was not talked about. Nobody talked with me about it at home. I realized that what I have for a certain girl, I met this girl, same age as me. We played basketball against each other, and I met her a few times. And the first time, I didn't realize. It wasn't like immediately that I realized what it is. It took a few times, and then I realized that what I have for her is what all my girl friends, all the friends that I had for the boys, like how they shared with me, or about boyfriends and all of that, and how, talking with them and experiencing what they have, which I never felt to any other boy. I realized that what I have for her is the same thing. I recognize it about myself. Like, it's something that you cannot deny. It's sexual attraction. You cannot create it and you cannot fight it. This is also my argument when people tell me that I choose this lifestyle. The only thing I chose in regards to being gay is that I'm true to myself and act on it. But I didn't choose to be gay. You can choose who you feel attracted to. Anyway, so as soon as I started realizing this about myself, the confidence that I got changed the person that I was, and nobody bullied me anymore. And the Rachel came out, and I the natural leader that I am brought out, and 3 years later, I was elected to be the president of the student council of my high school. I was a very popular girl, the captain of the basketball team. It was just all great, and there was acceptance, even though there was no indoctrination. I'm talking with you about the 90s in Israel, in a small place in the south. So back then, we were good. We were fine. There was no reason to go and indoctrinate these children and telling, we are us as the old people who live through, being a gender non-conforming people. Like, I'm not wearing a dress. I'm a woman who's not wearing a dress or makeup or heels, right? So am I a woman? People commenting on my post, oh, it looks like you want to be a man, or you dress like a man, or, fine. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I do buy my clothes at men's clothes, but I'm not saying that I'm a man. I am saying that I'm a woman. I mean, I'm walking into ladies' restrooms, when I get like 8 out of 10 times I would get a comment, hey, this is the ladies' restroom. And I'm like, I know, I'm a woman, all good. Thank you for being alert.
Okay, so that's a good way to handle it. It's like, you have to think that for most people, it's going to be an honest mistake
Yeah.
that they're making in those types of cases. Even the other day, my son, he has like kind of long curly hair, and somebody called him a girl, you know, and it was just my son. It's a mistake, you know? And so you did say that you needed somebody to tell you about the concept that, so what is the proper level of representation? How did you get introduced to that concept? Do you feel it was appropriate? You know, where is the right place for representation to exist? Because I do believe that that's an important thing.
Absolutely, and I actually do support it, and I mentioned it on my channel, on my page, a couple of times. Is that I don't want the gay activists to go to their schools. I want them to keep doing what we were doing, which was fine. We have the centers, the LGBT youth centers. Let them come to you. They have questions. Like that's what I did. I realized that I'm different. I shared it with my friends, and then I eventually found there's the gay youth center in Beersheba. The LGBT youth center that has like, you know, introduction to youth. And that's what I got, how I started getting involved to the community. And unfortunately, at 15 and 16, I was already introduced to drag queens and to sexual content of gay adults. And I've seen my own my own eyes with my own experience of how young, mostly gay boys, being having sexual relationships with adult men, and I've been going to prides, and in a way, I was like a liberal, but not really. I was mostly about, you know, it's not legal to same-sex marriage are not legal in Israel, and
Right. You just think it should be equal under the law.
I think, yeah, I would like us to have equal rights.
Is it
I would
like that
to be
now?
discriminated against for that.
What's the law in Israel now?
No, it's still the state does not recognize same-sex marriage that occurred in Israel. But I think if you have like a civil union from outside of Israel, they can acknowledge it to some level. But in that regard, Israel is a pretty religious state, and the motive behind is that, because also you have to, when you get married, you have to go through like a religious court. So there's a lot of that in that regard. So for me, back then, it was marching for our rights, celebrating who we are, not living in the closet, you know, and be proud of ourselves. And we marched the streets fully clothed with flags and dance, and it was just a dance party in a way, like a street,
right.
a street dance party.
You just think that the over-sexualization is a clear line.
But then, yeah, so back then, so that we're talking about 20 years ago, but 20 years ago, it was not what is happening today. Today is sex and perversion festivals. It's just.
And so why do you think this is happening? Why is the movement being co-opted and sexualized? Really, I would say across the whole movement in general. And then there seems to be a particular aspect of it that's pointed at children. So why is this happening? What, from your perspective?
So as we keep saying, the community has been hijacked, and also by hijacking and also hijack the minds of some of the people in the community. But we can see how this agenda is being pushed from big powers, being pushed by the U.S. government. It's pushed by Hollywood, big pharmas making a lot of money off of these trans kids. You see big tech playing along. You see mainstream media playing along. The UN playing along. WWF playing along. Soros is funding a lot of the back. So parents who are protesting right now are being violently attacked by Antifa. Parents who are protesting, their kids being indoctrinated about this are being attacked by Antifa.
Is this in LA? Are you talking about that protest that's going on in LA? Yeah, I covered this on my channel. I saw those videos. I don't know. I think that they might have been more isolated incidents, the actual violence parts of it, but there was tension high the whole time. And you could tell on the one side, it was clearly parents, and diverse parents, many immigrants. I think they have a large Yemenis population over there.
They were Armenians.
Armenian. Yes, I think that's right. And
also in Maryland.
Hispanic as well. Obviously, it's LA.
Hispanic.
So, and then on the other side, it's like everybody's in masks and all this gear, and it's like, if you really believe and you're there for the kids, be there for the kids. Like, why? What's with the
masks?
Here? Exactly.
COVID is over.
Well, did you see for the smoke? They like everybody was
the last 2 days
masks back out.
Lockdowns and masks.
Yeah, they canceled the school. I'm sorry, they might as well cancel it. They put it on remote learning.
The elderly at risk, the people with COPD. It's like on repeat.
So you're telling me though that
it's people, but
it's
why?
Down.
The question is why.
So okay.
The question is
why.
I
just want to clarify. You're saying that this is top down from the highest levels. It's not just like some cultural phenomenon or like people at high levels with lots of funding like George Soros and perhaps some of the larger hedge funds that then own these parent companies that have their companies like Bud Light do these super, it's
mockery of women.
Yeah, mockery of women commercials and all that. So you're saying it's from the highest levels. And now the question is why?
So the why is a few reasons. So first reason, when you say why, like why they with the LGBT has been using as shields, as pawns, and they're very easy to do so. They're very easy to manipulate, especially. I'm sorry, it's gonna sound a little offensive, but I don't care. Many people in the trans community, they're mentally unstable. They have some mental disorders. So people who are, many kids who are being diagnosed with gender dysphoria are actually autistic. So it's a very easy target to push down. What they want to push, why they do it. They're pushing sexualization of children. That's first, the normalizing pedophilia. I see it as, this could sound like a conspiracy theory, but I think there's something behind it. I saw it since Epstein did not kill himself. There been kind of like a push on the normalizing of pedophilia. And it's kind of like they're trying to normalize it. So when finally the list, they will let it out or someone finally will get it, they will be off the hook. Nobody will care.
And
just having sex with children.
Right. And from the legal side, we can see it coming down in the bills, right? Trying to lower the age of consent or just get rid of an age at all. So, is it a conspiracy? Is it not? Maybe. Who knows what the actual details are of things that you're talking about, but we have actual legal evidence of what they're doing up in the state houses.
If you're 12 and you can consent to double mastectomy because you think if you're a girl and you think you're a boy, if you consent to that at 12 years old, why can't you consent to sexual relationships with an adult? So normalizing pedophilia. Second one is money, a lot of money, as I said, because when they're introducing these gender ideology to these children, they're confusing them. Kids are being confused. The detransitioners are saying it themselves, and how it's been trendy and it's been cool and it's been sold as something it's been celebrated. So big pharma making a lot of money over these kids as soon as they're trying to get them on puberty blockers as soon as possible, and then they are depending on pharmaceutical companies to live for the rest of their lives, especially if they're going down through surgeries, that many of them going really bad. It's all very experimental, but many people make a lot of money over it. And then what we're creating is we're looking at, and that also relates to depopulation. These kids who are going on puberty blockers are becoming sterilized. Many of these people, we have a 4,000% increase in young people who now identify as trans or non-binary or something under the umbrella. When you have those numbers, it's obviously not a natural, growth. Something was pumping up these numbers, and these numbers, we will see many people comment in 10 years, you will see the suicidal rate also of how it's going to go up higher than what it is right now. The studies, actually the data shows that after transitioning, your suicidal rate is not going down. It's either staying the same or going higher. So the lie that they're saying saving lives, it's not true. So depopulation, once again, if it is through suicides, through sterilization. And then these people are so dumb that they're falling through this, all of this. So they are becoming an enslaved generation. So easy to control.
I think it's more that, like, I don't know if, you know, people say
Absolutely.
depopulation.
All of these are like, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the depopulation. I think that there is something about the human energy and aura that would be valuable. But I certainly think it's about enslaving or, you know, having control over large populations of people. And it's certainly convenient to have a group of people to try your different medical experiments out on. I don't like using the Nazi reference because obviously if you're going to make that comparison, it should be up to the appropriate level. And I think that this is. If you look at the Nuremberg Code and you look at the reason why we have the informed consent legal laws we have today, it's because of that. And I think that some of the this stuff is, like you said, these are experimental surgeries. And if you're getting your penis chopped off or pushed up inside of you and turned into a vagina, you literally have an open wound for the rest of your life.
That you have to dial it to the rest of your life. Some people daily.
Right. So I think that this is, it really is, I think, that extreme. And more people should be activated. And so I think that that was a really powerful thing that you said, that it's just about getting out there and having the courage to speak, because that is the first step. I think I get calls from parents all the time. I'm like, okay, well, can we tell your story? Well, oh, you know, I don't know if I'm ready to come out and talk about it, or you want to protect my child. And I can understand some of those things, but at some point it's like, are you really protecting your child by staying quiet?
Yeah.
Or is there
other kids
something different? Or yes, and it's not just about your children, it's about other kids, it's about the people that you have to live in the world with. Like, who cares if you're good if everybody around you is not? So what do you have coming up? What is, you know, what's your call to action for people, and how can we support you?
Absolutely. My call to action is always do whatever you can in whatever capacity to speak up. That's been very helpful. As I was mentioning about joining Gays Against Groomers in June 6th, when this coalition was founded, I think, as far as I know, there was 0 laws that banned gender affirming care for minors. 0 laws that banned from drag queens to perform sexually in front of children. And now we have 19 states that have banned either one of the two or the both. And also, if we can add it already, also it's part of it, protecting women's sports and spaces and only biological women at sports. This is also great wins, but it would not happen if people wouldn't speak up. The politicians, you know, those legislators, they won't wake up this morning and be like, you know what, I'm gonna ban the mutilation surgeries on children just because I feel like it. It's because people have been speaking up. Because if everyone, like, you know, this community is not being oppressed, because as we saw, all corporations, everywhere you go, pride flags everywhere, parades every day of June and all year long, you know, and all of that. So if it won't be for us people speaking up and showing the truth, the hard truth of what phalloplasty look like. You know, when I went to Google and I looked up, you know how Google will pop up suggestion for you, like enlarge them. The first one I read, it says that it says that it's a procedure that trans men are going through, and the successful rate is very high, and people are very pleased with it. And it's like very, and you know where the article was from? Boston Children's Hospital. So, you know, if it wasn't for us, for speaking up, for being vocal, for fighting against it, we won't see these laws, and we won't see parents waking up. So, for example, you were mentioning about the people like you would like to see sharing their story. So some of them reaching out to me and sharing their stories in my DMs. And then I ask them and I post them on my page, and I'm showing how I'm literally saving lives. I have my slogan, Save the Tomboys, the Gays Against Groomers, but it's the one that I feel most passionate towards for this cause. And I'm literally saving the tomboys. I can add it to my resume now. Mothers mostly are sending me the stories of how their children are going through this, and they show them my content. I hope not a really hardcore one, but and it made a difference in their lives, and they were like, you know what, maybe transition is not for me, or I'll wait till I'm adult, or I'm just a tomboy like her.
Right, there's another option.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is one of my messages I'm trying to get out there. Just wait a little bit till you're adult. Everyone is having a hard time during puberty, but if you block your puberty, it's not a temporary thing. That's one thing that the doctors like to say. It's like it's safe and reversible. It's not reversible. Once you stop, think of it like this. It's a natural process that happens in your body. And anything, like even your skin, if you cut your skin, it has to heal back, and when you heal back, if it's deep enough, you'll have a scar. That scar could be the same on that puberty blockers. The puberty is the time where vital organs, including your brain, is developing, and by introducing these chemicals, it's a chemical castration, actually, lupron. You are hurting all of these organs for what? For confused kids. For a confused kid who right now may be a little non-conforming to their gender. People are saying that 80% of them are gay. I don't know how they measure that. If you don't touch them, then they turn up to be gays. But just save the tomboys, let them be them, and empower these voices of the detransitioners. Share if you can, talk with your family and friends. It's something worth fighting for children's freedoms, because the states are stealing the kids from their parents right now. They're removing the parents' consent. Everything is behind the backs of the parents. Teachers telling the kids not to teachers are being instructed to not share with parents that the kid is now being referred to as a boy, or things of that sort. So yeah, I love seeing the protests. The protests are amazing. The kids are bringing attention to it, and more people are waking up. More people are making noise. So this is my call to action. Do whatever you can, as small as it could be. How these people say, like, the donations, when they're asking for donations, they say, like, even $5. So even talking with your sister about it makes a difference. Really, as little as that could be.
I agree. Those little bits every day add up, and they also help you build courage. And perhaps your type of advocacy is going to look different than Rachel or I, right? So don't see this as the only way to speak up and be loud. It's not one size fits all. Find your own way to do it. I really appreciate you having the courage to get out there, setting that example, and really blowing the whistle on this specific topic. I try to talk about it as much as I can, although I cover many more topics. So I definitely appreciate you doing the deep dives. And the content, it's disturbing, but it's something that everybody should go watch. So just, can you shout out your social media and stuff for everybody?
Absolutely, yes. I do give a graphic warning I try for the most part, I think, to warn you guys before what you're gonna watch. But yeah, you have to watch it. You have to watch what they're defending. So you have no choice to speak up against it. So if you wanna go see my content, I'm mostly active on Instagram. So it's just MAGAY, is my name here, MAGAY together, _45. And I have a link tree over there where you can find me on other social media platforms. The only one I'm a little bit more active is Twitter, but nothing and I also have a TikTok account, just so I can. People will keep telling me, and I didn't want to. The only thing I have, the only reason I have it is because there's some tailored made, specific content that I picked that is directed to these young girls who are there just to balance out all the women that are celebrating the double mastectomy at the beach. Just a little bit so they can see something.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
I don't follow anyone. I go there, I post, and I check out. And I don't run the feed or anything.
All right. Well, if you're on TikTok, make sure you're following MAGAY _24 and sharing that.
45.
Oh, 45. I'm sorry.
Best president, MAGA.
Yes, of course, for the 45th president, of course. Yeah. How could I mess that up? But MAGAY_45 over on TikTok, Instagram, also on Twitter, and
Twitter is _2, actually. It's my second account. They locked me out before long.
You're probably saying that girls
Wait,
are.
can I say why they locked me out?
Yeah.
I said it was a trans woman who was saying trans women are women, something like that. So I responded and said trans women are men with a mental disorder. That was enough.
I know, I hear you. So I know we're trying to wrap this up, but I do want to say I agree in many ways. And I think it's a fair point to make, but sometimes I worry that it's not a great way to like build bridges or have a real conversation with people. And so, yeah, I think that it's certainly something that we need to be talking about in the larger conversation. I just worry, especially when it comes to the kids and stuff. But I appreciate your voice, and everybody make sure you go check her out. And yeah, let's keep fighting this fight. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching, and please share this video. These conversations are so important, and we have to have the courage to keep having them with more and more people. I encourage you to think back to when you were a kid, struggling to understand yourself and the world, going through puberty, trying to be comfortable with your body and these awkward stages that you go through. And if you're not comfortable with that, use my story. Use Rachel's story. Girls who grew up gender nonconforming, even perhaps thought we wanted to be boys at one point in time, and we grew up to be confident, beautiful, strong women in our own right. Me, a straight woman, Rachel, a lesbian. As I said in our conversation, I think representation is important. I think that equality under the law is non-negotiable. However, this normalization of hypersexuality, particularly when it comes to children, is something totally else altogether. So share this video, go check out Rachel on social media, MAGAY_45, or on Twitter, it's MAGAY2. All those are linked in the description down below, along with mine. Like I said, we have to keep having these conversations, because when we think free, we live free.
Come on.